All right, welcome to the Underdog Ecom podcast, where two ecom brand founders are figuring out in real time.
Yeah, we're not here to preach. We're here in the thick of it, making mistakes, testing all sorts of ideas, and really sharing the journey of how we've been growing these brands from day zero. Hopefully, you learn a little bit, perhaps come away with some ideas that save you time and money. And so, if you're tired of the same glittery D2C advice from those 9-figure gurus, you're here in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so we are back here with the Underdog Ecom pod, and today we've got a special episode. We've never done this before. We had this idea. I've been digging into this AI platform for emails. AI is a hot topic for a while. People are trying to save time and money. Obviously, email marketing is very important. And so we were thinking we would dig into this platform and I could show off how I've sent one email with it, but I have used it a little bit here and there and trying to figure out, where to take my emails. Jack's our resident in-house email expert because he does it for his brand and does great emails, but also does it for other brands because he's got his ghost agency on the side. And so it'll probably be a better episode to tune in via YouTube, so you can see what we're talking about. But we will try and describe it as we dig through. I don't actually. Can I share? We're clearly experts here, and I didn't test to see if I can share my screen
Should be able to.
before. Okay.
In the bottom right.
Making sure that my screen is okay to share and allow. Okay, cool. I'm going to share. All right, so we are in. So this platform, didn't even name it yet. Sorry, is Eltie. It is built by a fellow who runs email marketing agency. It sounds pretty good, and looks pretty good in terms of like what they do. Basically, it's leaning into the expertise of the agency, building out a calendar for you, and then building out the actual emails. And what's nice is they're integrated with Klaviyo, and so that builds an HTML email that you can import over to Klaviyo. Pretty good cost structure. Right now it's $100 a month for brands. Um, and overall, I'd say like I haven't used it extensively, but I've spent a few hours or whatever in it in the last month. And I'd say it's pretty good. I would give it like a 3 out of 5 at this point. The dev was super responsive. I gave him some. I'm pretty. I can be pretty brutal with feedback with my UI UX background and design and dev and knowing how things work. And so that can be good or bad depending on how they receive it. And the dev received it really well and built out some changes really fast, which was within a day of I sent 5 suggestions over. So that was really awesome to see. um they don't know we're doing this. So this is not paid shilling. They have no idea. Hopefully they're okay with it. I imagine publicity is good, but I'm kind of intrigued to dig in. All right, that's enough of me talking, Jack. What do you think?
Yeah. So I have a few things, right? I think first of all, it's a great idea. I mean, they're not the first ones to do it. It's a great idea though. It seems like they're doing it pretty well in comparison. I think they're obviously making use of the fact that AI is getting better. I think there's a couple of things that I think my opinion is that the hardest thing about email marketing is probably actually the content itself and actually how the content, like a calendar of content, because like one email in isolation doesn't necessarily work in a mix of certain emails. For example, like if it's around Black Friday, you almost need to like orchestrate what the emails are saying and how they're building up to certain offers, and or like a month of especially if you're launching a new product and you've also got something else. Like it's a lot of planning, and I think that I really like that they've got this, like the first thing they say is like this calendar side of things, because I think they've kind of cottoned onto the fact, and probably because they're an agency, they know this. Like it's it's just coming up with ideas, subject lines, like the content of the email, which I think is the most important and probably the hardest part. So I like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have used Ripple. Was really hot like a year ago. I tried that for a little bit. It didn't
Yeah.
The integration wasn't there. I have a personal bias towards emails that are HTML rather than just like the image where they're all images. And so I didn't love that it would just generate images, and the Klaviyo integration wasn't great with the Ripple back then. It seemed to work fairly well, but I have my Klaviyo set up and customized in a way, and I'm kind of more, for better or worse, very particular about my branding. And so like I've got a bunch of universal blocks and templates built out in Klaviyo where it's like really easy to go in and be like, build out this email, and I still run all my emailing myself. I basically create the ideas and send them off to my VA who I've trained on it to build. And so that's where I come to the table. And I think my like Jack's saying, like one of my biggest struggles is coming up with ideas and building out a calendar of ideas that makes sense and generates revenue because a lot of times Black Friday was one of those few times where I had emails scheduled ahead of time. But a lot of times it's like it's Monday or Tuesday and I'm like, I need to send some emails for this week. What are we gonna do? And
Yeah.
a lot of that is just the operations of my small company. Like I don't have set release schedules very well. Like I don't know when things are gonna be exactly launched and that sort of thing. So it's very much running and gunning. And Klaviyo templates are great for that. And I agree that I feel like there's an emphasis on design and I don't in the ecom world, and I don't necessarily think that that's the biggest lever, especially for smaller brands. I think that the copy and content and ideas behind the email are way more important. And so like I'll read it because a lot of you are listening, but Eltie says it's got a revenue ready calendar. It builds email calendars tailored to your products, seasonality, and segments, prioritizing revenue, not randomness. And it also talks about like we've packaged $50 million of proven playbooks into your brand, so you don't have to pay a $5,000 a month retainer. This is a lot of good marketing copy. Like this website is strong in terms of converting people. And let's see what the other things. Yeah, it talks about like you don't have to discount, replace promos with product stories and education and launch narratives, and talks about the founder, Elliot Kovac, the founder of Dispatch, a life cycle email marketing agency, yada yada yada. They built LT with everything they learned, yada yada. The simple pricing, which is good, $100 a month. Um, so yeah, should we dig in?
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that, you whilst you're logging in, we might have to blur that out, you know? As,
I'm already in.
oh, you're already in. Well, you are. I was gonna say, like, one thing you talk about HTML, I think that's such a good point. I also do not like emails that are only images. Obviously, with hero images and you want text on that hero image, you might need to add text, like, but we always do our emails with like text blocks and everything because I think it resizes properly on different sizes versus like if you just put an image in. It's same thing as like in Shopify. If you just imported like 12 images like into Shopify as opposed to like actual proper sections, it's kind of like doesn't look great. And I think unfortunately with Ripple, I think they were just kind of doing that. The other thing I was going to say is that with Ripple, they were pulling through just product images. They had like access to your Shopify gallery. I'm assuming that's what this does as well, to have access to Shopify gallery, like with all your product images and stuff. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I want you to see, like, how well it chooses images and stuff like that because, I felt like the Ripple if Ripple just randomly chose stuff from Shopify, like, and then I remember they changed their, like, algorithm a bit and actually made it in my opinion, made it worse. Like, it was just, like, pulling through absolute random images, and then I was ended up changing them anyway. So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm kind of doing the template stuff myself anyway." So, yeah, I don't know, interested to see how this does that.
Yeah, yeah, we can dig in. It is I think it handles it pretty well. It also generates this is new because Google Nano Banana 17 or whatever came out, and so it will generate images for you using products, which has always I'd say 95% of situations has been a miss for my brand because I have
Mm,
very detailed products. Like, this could work if it was like a skincare product or something, but, like,
yeah.
oftentimes these AI generating image things don't work because it's like, I've got a very detailed patch on the jacket, and the jacket has intricate details that can't be wrong because people will know. So basically setup-wise, like, it was pretty easy to go in. I think I can go in and show off most of this. Like, you integrate with Shopify, you integrate with Klaviyo, you fill in your brand website and a lot of the brand information and set up the theming, like, all this is pretty typical stuff. You could set up some USPs, product categories, brand voice examples. And I haven't done this as much as I should. And AI is only as good as the stuff that you train it on. And so I might spend some more time on this. But basically, once you have all that set up, then you run through, um, just making sure I got that covered. Then you basically run over to the calendar and you can set up a single email or you can set up like a block of time at a time, a block of time at once. And you can see in the background here for those on YouTube. Basically, I went in and gave instructions to set up an email calendar for December. And you give it criteria like, hey, I want you to email twice a week, and here's the products to focus on. I'll click into that sort of screen. But it's like, I want to send, you can send emails on certain days. You can tell it to send certain amounts of emails a week and then set up the end and start date. And then you go into the content, and this is where it's pretty helpful because it asks you if there's launches planned, it asks you if there's promotions or sales, and if it asks you if there's certain things to focus on. So I did this all. I go back to the month view, and I basically told it like, hey, my cutoff for shipping's December 12th. So let's add that in terms of instructions. I want to focus on sort of more winter products. So let's add those instructions. I want to focus on my jackets, my fleece jackets. And then I do have a product launch probably happening after Christmas, a new color. And so it went in and generated these. And I sent my first email yesterday that it had generated. Let's see if we can open it up. And it was pretty good. I didn't like I've said, like I've got very like specific design I've been using in Klaviyo for my emails, and this looked very different. I'm sure I could customize this to match it more closely, but like the header was a lot different than my current emails. But overall, like let's check this out. So it did render the logo that I had added, and then the rest of it basically it came up with on its own. It created this image for the two jackets, which is a pretty darn good AI image. If at first glance, like there's not
Mm.
a ton wrong besides the jackets sort of hovering in air.
It's funny, I think the jackets look more, I suppose, because 'cause they're the real part, but, like, the rest of the image to me looks AI generated. The jackets look really good. Um,
Yeah.
like the
Considering how
fire.
many details are on those jackets and like all of the
Yeah,
little things, it really rocked those.
yeah.
But yeah, so we've got a hero image for those listening, some hero text copy, a button, which doesn't necessarily match my button design, which I don't know if that was in the brand profile, like the curve. The border radius on the button is off. I usually do like a 6 pixel border radius. This is like a 15 or something. And the rest of this, I didn't do. So you can go in here and you can be like, I want to change this sort of thing. I want to change this sort of thing. It's a chat dialogue, which some people may not like. I did give them feedback that was like, hey, to change this button, I have to go in and say like, change the URL to blank. And then it uh does it, but that takes up more time than just actually like clicking and changing the URL. So they added that within like 24 hours. While he's like, oh, we'll just add this little edit link button. Um, then we've got some more like a product feature section with some hero copy. Pulled in the two main images from the two different products that I wanted to feature. It looks like it actually generated product description text on its own. Yeah, based on the product descriptions from Shopify.
Okay.
So that section's pretty good. Another button, and then like a third section. And I changed this image because it wasn't great. I added my own image. Um, it had messed up. The AI hadn't rendered the details correctly. So that was something I changed. But it says a value prop section, talks about like the USPs in some ways for the brand, learn more to the website, and then a footer. So pretty standard stuff. Like I hadn't changed a whole lot besides that image. Otherwise, I fired and basically was like fire and forget for this. Um,
How did it do out of interest?
I'll open up the tab's not visible on the recording, but like, okay. Um, 40% open rate. And I noticed when I got the email itself, it like didn't have the preview text. So maybe that's something that they haven't added yet, but like, you know how you can add the preview text in Klaviyo?
Yeah, I know
That,
Ripple had that problem as well.
huh. And maybe that's because it's HTML and it's just like, I don't know exactly how
It
it's the
is.
HTML email, but
Yeah. It's because HTML. So you can't if once you've exported into Klaviyo, you can't change it.
Uh, you might be able to. I'm not sure on that
I mean,
actually.
I suppose if you coded the HTML, I guess you probably could, but
I'm looking at it in Klaviyo, and it does have preview text there, but when I seen the email in my
yeah,
platform, like the email platform, it didn't show the preview, so that's interesting.
yeah.
Um, it didn't do well. It had a less 0.12 click-through rate and no orders placed, but I think that's impossible to, judge a platform based on one single email sent at one specific time. I wanna try and use
Yeah,
it
for sure.
a little bit more, uh, the platform. Um, because I had sent similar emails for these products, like, last week, and it had a higher open rate, but around the same click-through rate and no orders. So it's kinda similar to a prior email, so that could be a reason why. But, like, overall, like, pretty good. You can basically use this, you can regenerate it, it looks like. You can change it to be image-based rather than HTML-based, which I think can make the emails look a lot better probably if you switch it to image-based. I could try that live, see what happens.
Okay.
Should I try it?
Yeah, that's it.
Uh, okay, so it does take I did notice when I was generating the email via the AI earlier, kinda, like, get up and go grab some tea or whatever because it does take a couple minutes, which is fine. AI is not the fastest, and I think the result overall, this was a pretty good result. I think I could do some tweaking to, like, update the footer. My footer in my current emails has, I was gonna pull it up, like, I think it has some what does it have? Some, like, uh, sections for different product categories, and then I have, like, a top bar across the email that says it usually has, like, a certain CTA that's, like, "Order by 12:15" or something like that, specific to the time period that we're in. Um, so maybe those are things I can add to the email editor, but I think the biggest advantage, and I almost, like part of me is tempted to take the calendar aspect to this and run with it and create the emails in Klaviyo themselves, but there's no reason to do that besides, like, being super on brand or whatever for the emails, but I do think that the content calendar aspect to this could be huge, and supposedly the platform itself, all of the content and copy is, like, highly targeted, and the strategy around the calendar is, like, highly targeted at generating revenue based on, all of their experience running it for millions of brands or whatever it is. So, believe if I were to believe that, which I mostly do, then it should have, like, really good results, on a high
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, I mean, I
But what do
think
you think so far?
yeah, there's 2 things. I think so from a I noticed they have, like, an agency offering. It's like $1,000 a month. I don't
Yeah.
exactly see the sense there because I feel like if someone's paying you to do what they could do on a platform themselves through AI, it better look amazing. Like, it better look amazing, and if you are doing exactly what they can do, I don't really get the whole agency. I think because I think if any brand found out that you were just doing it through AI and paying $1,000 a month to run, like, 20 brands' emails, right? I don't think they'd be pleased because I think they'd be like, "Oh, wait, can't we just do this ourselves?" That's
I
my
agree.
oh, really? Okay, yeah.
I don't yeah, hot take, hot take. We gonna have a disagreement.
Huh.
I think that if my brand was at a bigger level and I were like, "Hey, Jack, run my emails for me." Oh my. Run my I'm just seeing the render of this,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
image-based
considering.
oh my. They've butchered my logo. Rainier North Services Co. So that looks like, what's that terrible engine rendering, Midjourney, like V2 or
Yeah.
something? Anyways, going back to your point, I would be open to this because essentially, like, if the tool can produce really good conversions and I'm paying, like, Jack's Ghost Agency or whatever to run my emails, I don't really care if you're using this and charging me for it and you're be able to create emails a lot faster that look way better because you're saving
Yeah,
time or
but
whatever, and hopefully it would be costing me less kinda at the end of the day.
yeah, but that's what I mean by the emails better look really good because
Yeah.
if they don't, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand the whole layer of an agency on top of AI. That's what I mean, like, I understand agencies using AI to be better at their job, but, like, to completely replace the job, in my head, I feel like if it were me, like, I get what you're saying, but then it needs to, like, it can't look like that, I think is what we have to say, right?
Well, let's scroll down. We'll scroll down in a second. I think though, like if I were a brand paying Jack's Ghost Agency running emails, I don't care what you use as long as it's really good and generates results at the end of the day. And like if you can go into Eltie or whatever app it is and be way
Yeah.
faster than making the emails in Klaviyo, then great. Like and I would be paying you whatever and it were generating revenue and that sort of thing. Like I think that's
Mm,
fine, especially if this platform can really deliver on what it says. Let's scroll down and check this out. Like overall, obviously this email design on top here, wow, does look, that's like a way more engaging image than the prior one. And it has the built-in people love using pictures for email because you can put the text right into the image and it can be like
yes.
super integrated. And so like rather than having to jump into Canva, put this
Yeah,
together, then export it and add it in, like essentially if I was paying Jack's Ghost Agency, I'd be paying for a button clicker to go through and do all of this and make sure it's like a really good result at the end of the day. And I'd be okay if like
yeah,
you're using LD. So this image right here though is like the blue is off, the background fleece, the blue is off a little bit on that. It's missing the accent highlight on that jacket, which no one would know except for me. And maybe if someone was wearing it like you could look at the jacket and compare. But like, and this is the best AI generated image I've seen of this jacket because it got the triangle. Like, there's a lot of little specific things here, like that patch design. The mountain design on the patch on the pocket is not the exact same as the one you're wearing, but no one would know except for me. The the pocket right there is in the outline of a mountain, which AI never gets right. It usually does some like random triangles, but that's like specifically like this looks like someone photoshopped the image. This is like the first time I'm seeing an AI generated image of my jacket where it looks like someone actually took the jacket image and photoshopped it rather
yeah.
than generated in AI. That's really good. It's nice that it's got the seasonal elements there in the image. Loved by thousands. Okay, not quite. Here's where it starts to fall off a little bit. I could change that pretty quickly, I'm sure, because I mean thousands would be a stretch, but 500 plus. Good copy. Like obviously the text is really good here. This is kind of a cool image overlay where it's got the two jackets side by side. It, it's pretty close, but it changed the patch design there from my brand's name to the name of the jacket. So that's a red flag.
Really?
Or like
Okay.
I'd have to re-edit that. It's nice that it has a text there with the pricing. That's good. We got so this is nice strategy wise. It's got the order by December 15th, free shipping over $100. That's also true, which is good. Pretty good images. The patches are off again. Patch design,
Mm,
shop gift guide. Overall, pretty good. What do you
yeah.
think, email master?
No, I think it's not bad, it's pretty good. I mean, I think you can't the problem is you can't send it with, like, I mean, you can send it with a small, tiny if you think they are gonna notice, but, like, if the header logo is wrong, I suppose you could probably fix that, I suppose. Um,
Yeah,
let
there
me
is a
see.
way. Edit image. So let's change the header. I'm gonna burn through all my credits here. Let's change the header logo inside this image to match the header image for the brand. It's wrong. So we'll see. I just
Okay.
basically typed in instructions for those listening to change the image.
I mean,
Keep
the
going.
other thing I was gonna say is, like, me looking at that is, like, we could do that or a or a designer using AI tools in Photoshop and whatever could do that, but it w like, could use AI within Photoshop, like, to generate cool backgrounds and, like, but the products would all be right because they'd be pulling through they'd be actually the actual product. They wouldn't be AI generating the product. And I'd actually be interested to say, for example, like my graphic designer, send this to her and be like, would this make life easier for you? Or would you rather, are you so good at it now that you'd rather just do it in Photoshop and stuff yourself? Like, I'd be interested to know that because that's kind of also where it is. Like the person who's actually designing that, how much easier is it for them?
Yep.
Like going back and forth and changing, like got the logo's wrong, or like going back and forth and or is it easier for them to just like mock it up in Photoshop like pretty quickly? I don't know. I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, that's definitely the question mark. It's like, does it save time at the end of the day? And obviously, if this was a one-shot email where it got the things right, then okay, here's the new generation. Then it would be a non-starter. Like, obviously, if it's faster, then it's faster, and that's what everyone's using it for. So I told it to change the header logo inside the image up at the very top, and it basically just removed it, I think. So here's what's interesting too is like this chat interface shows you all of the details, including the HTML. I don't think I care for that. Like, I don't think anyone really cares for that. So that was some feedback I gave them. And it was like, okay, so a bunch of, it's like, it should just say like doing the thing. It doesn't need to be, we're swapping the anchor tag. Yeah, I feel like that's unnecessary.
Yeah, I think they've taken that from like ChatGPT and stuff where it's kind of you can see the code being made in real time if you're coding something, and I can understand that because you need to be able to, if you're adding that code to your website, you need to be able to see what that code looks like because you might be able to spot errors and stuff like that. You're not going to be likely coding your own HTML email, so you don't really need to know what the code is.
Unless you're an insane person, because I know that
Yeah.
deving HTML emails is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Uh, Side note, I wish I could add like another block above here and then add in that logo because I want the logo up top, but it doesn't
Yeah,
seem to
well,
let me.
this is actually some of my feedback to Ripple as well when I was looking at it, is I said, like, "It's great that it creates this stuff, but what if I just wanna add 1 block? Why can't I do that?" Like, it's that's the thing as well, is that you sometimes just wanna make a little tweak yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think you can supposedly pretty easily. Like, let's say, describe how you want to add an image block at the top using the logo image that's saved in our library. So I just typed that into the chat-based interface and we'll see if it adds. Yeah, it's so funny. It's like revealing the database queries and so many details. Cannot find any elements to replace. Yeah, I don't want you to replace. I want you to add an element. Interesting. This is a live take, ladies and gentlemen. Live take.
yeah,
Live
we should,
live reactions.
we should send this along to them with a check, with a blank check and just,
That'd be nice. Yeah.
be
Um,
like, "Send it back with how much you think this is worth."
yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to the dev because he was very, very responsive. So that's like a plus, and maybe it'll be something to work through. But it's pretty what I really like is so when I tried this a couple months ago, it wasn't integrated with Klaviyo yet. You had to like export it as an image perhaps and then import it or something. But right now, it's like a two-click import. You basically because I've already sent this email, these details are off a little bit, but basically you like import it into Klaviyo and then it just shows up as an HTML email inside Klaviyo, which is really quite handy. So it shows you like the preview when you open it up. I'm opening Klaviyo on another tab that you can't see, but you can basically just like preview it like a normal email. You wouldn't really be able to tell just because it's an HTML email. And again, I think that uh, we get out of here. Oh, 60 credits left. The calendar I think is like quite useful. Like, what is
Yeah, that was gonna be my 2 things. I was gonna say the first thing is what are they gonna do when Klaviyo offers AI within their own editor?
which I
Like,
think they
that's
don't they have something like that already. I think they're like laying groundwork for it.
one thing that they've done that's really cool, I found really useful is the AI segments. Because I
Mm,
don't know if you've done that, but, like, sometimes you realize that you need to exclude some segment and you haven't got it, and you instead of going over to segments in Klaviyo and creating that segment, then going back to your campaign, you can just, like, say, I need to create a segment that has everyone who has purchased within the last 47 days, and and you can literally, it's pretty good. Like you can give it pretty much any query, and it'll create a segment. You can check it as well before it like includes it or excludes it. That's really useful. That's like useful AI. The other thing I was gonna say is, I was gonna say, so like, yeah, what's gonna happen with, oh yeah, so the calendar. This is something that I wish, I think every brand wants, is like a proper calendar that integrates, like, because like ideas for email alongside ideas uh for for organic content and all this stuff, like a calendar that has, so that your email, because the problem is, like, for example, if you look at like the Klaviyo's email calendar, it's like it's kind of useless because it's not connected to anything. Like, it's just, it's not connected to like when your product's landing in Shopify, or when you're going to launch on Instagram, or when you're going to run ads. And if you had like a centralized calendar, and if they had AI like powers as well in terms of ideas and content ideas, also stuff, that would be fantastic. But like having a calendar that's linked to all these places would be so useful, I think, because then you could actually coordinate all these different channels.
For Jack to build his SaaS.
I know why no one does it though, because I imagine getting the APIs for this stuff is like a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably not as bad as Facebook APIs, but yeah. Um, you can so I actually what's funny is we're gonna do a little AI competition here is I took see, it's got my header logo wrong. I need to fix that. Um, I took the description from this email that it just generated in Eltie and dropped it into can I switch to this tab? Share this tab. I just dropped it into Klaviyo because it's got this little like sort of half baked. Because you're absolutely right. Side note, it's got this half baked AI solution to generate. Wow. Uh, yeah. So it can't generate blocks. It can only generate text for the
Text.
blocks. It can't generate the actual email. I was basically trying to see if Klaviyo's AI would do what LT does. But you're right that like the future of LT and Ripple, I feel like are very, very limited because it's like a short time window when we can use these tools before before Klaviyo comes along and eats them because Klaviyo's got all of the money and like why would someone go elsewhere when they can just do it in Klaviyo?
Yeah.
Is that really the only thing? Yeah, generate huh, generate drafts. But I so yeah, we'll see what the future is, but I think like for now, I'm going to keep trying this. So let's check out this email. The strategy behind this email: spotlight the tote bag as a last minute gift or stocking stuffer, or these. So I wrote this, or the water bottles, um, these different products. There's a why it works, which I guess is kind of handy. There's an event type, which is
Right now, we're still
handy.
seeing Klaviyo, just in case.
Oh, wow.
There we are.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks for catching that. You could type in related products that you can add to it. And I wrote this description up here that I just had read out loud. And so it just made the HTML email. My logo, I think, is wrong in the settings. So that's why that the image is up there. Here we go. Another AI generated image. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Pretty good product section, product highlight. Not quite sure what this image is showing. I have the bag behind me. That's not really like that's not a realistic image. But like the idea is there, and I think with a quick tweak, that could work pretty well. I might have to send this email. I feel like this email could do well because this is one of my hero products right now. Hmm, interesting. You can send a test, which is nice. You can see different versions, which is really handy. I feel like there's a lot of like little features in this that you can download it, which is pretty good. Cool. Um, yeah, so that's Alti. I don't know. Do you have any other like thoughts as we've dug through this?
No, I think that's probably it. I think it's cool where all this stuff is going, and I'm all for it because I think anything that helps small brands, like, you
Hmm.
know, get stuff done, I think is just amazing, because I think it's what's so cool about all this stuff is it's kind of democratizing everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, it wouldn't have been possible 2 years ago to do this for sure. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And I like that their price point for LT is like what, the 100 a month or something. Like if it was more, then it would definitely price out a lot of the smaller brands. So I'm glad that it's not like 200 or 300 or something. It's like it definitely shouldn't be as much as your Klaviyo bill if it's just a supplemental app that's nice to have. Because
yeah.
as we've talked about before, all these fixed costs adds up so fast. Cool. All right. Well, that's a wrap, I guess. That's LT. Pretty interesting AI platform. Let us know what you think. This is like our first ecom product review, SaaS product review episode. Hopefully you watched on YouTube. Otherwise, it would have not been as interesting. That's for sure.
E- unboxing. That's what it was.
Unboxing
SaaS
of SaaS.
unboxing.
SaaS unboxing. We're gonna have some good episode titles for this one, I think. But that's kind of fun. Send us your SaaS if you want us to roast it, and we'll dig in. We've got, I think, a pretty good background for SaaS roasting. Or
Yeah,
like
we could
feedback.
become known
Yeah.
as the SaaS roasters.
Here we go. We're changing the font, everyone. We're changing the font. All right. Before we get too unhinged, leave us 5 stars. Let us know what we should have roasted next, and we'll see y'all later.